A woman who has been destroyed in 1,000 ways knows 1,000 ways to rebuild herself. Welcome to this week's episode, Saving Money While Traveling the World. If you've ever looked at your bank account and felt that pit in your stomach, if you're feeling stuck financially, craving a fresh start, or looking for a way to live better while spending less, this episode is for you. We'll uncover how travel can be your secret weapon to not only save money, but spark inspiration, rebuild your life, and design a future you're proud of without sacrificing comfort. Welcome to the DELCÂ Podcast, a diary on health, wellness, business, travel, and everything in between. I'm your host, Cassandra De Pecol. In today's episode, we're diving into how traveling the world can actually save you money, reignite your drive, and help you rebuild when life feels like it's falling apart. Today on the DELCÂ Podcast, Saving Money by Traveling the World, I'm Cassandra De Pecol. I'm no stranger to traveling on a budget or working remotely. Since I was 18, I've lived that lifestyle. I backpacked through Europe on $10 a day, found ways to earn while traveling without a college degree, and eventually made it to every country in the world on a babysitter's salary. But once I completed that journey, all I wanted was comfort, stability, and to leave travel behind for a while. Flash forward to the end of 2024, and I realized I was in over my head in just about every area of my life. If you're in your 30s wondering how the hell you got here, you're not alone. I'd spent the first half of my 30s chasing modern comforts like having a home, decorating, going out to eat, ordering in, going to events, taking little luxury trips here and there, and adopting another cat. I was using consumerism to avoid facing what was really happening under the surface: trauma, heartache, uncertainty, career downfalls, unhealthy habits. It's pretty common, honestly. When things start to feel like they're slipping, you buy that thing, have a nice meal, go to that event, anything to feel a little better, maybe even in control, if only for a moment. After traveling the world, I'd built a pretty successful career, but I didn't prepare for any kind of setback. Looking back, I don't think I could have prepared for what was coming, even if I'd known in advance. I was a babysitter trying to make ends meet before deciding to travel to every country. Once I completed that mission in February of 2017, I had a small wave to ride for about 3 years before it all came crashing down, starting with the COVID pandemic. And really, 3 years isn't much time to build sustainable income while also saving and investing for life's inevitable emergencies. Before 2017, I had barely any money. I was living paycheck to paycheck, working insane hours through odd jobs. So when I finally started making money in 2017, it felt like a miracle. I built a following, booked speaking gigs, landed brand deals, this world that I kind of just fell into without ever planning for it. And that was the problem. No plan. The only plan I ever made was to travel to every country in the world. What I didn't plan for was the aftermath. What kind of career did I actually want? What was I building? What kind of business was supposed to come out of it? What did I want 10, 20, 30 years down the line? Like most people in their mid-20s, I did not know. I let life take over and followed whatever opportunities came out of the experience. Then came the whirlwind. Media features, hundreds of thousands of followers, potential TV deals, a book, working with Fortune 500 brands, speaking on panels, modeling for fashion campaigns, hosting an award-nominated podcast. I mean, those 3 years before COVID were a rush, to say the least. And I rode that wave hard, enjoying the kind of money I'd only ever dreamed of before. Money had always just felt out of reach for me. In my head, the influx of cash meant I had years to catch up on. I started buying things I'd never been able to afford, things to make a home, things to take care of myself, hair care, skincare, gym memberships, healthcare. I finally got to give back to friends and family with gifts, dinners, and little trips. Clothes, too. I mean, before 2017, I was still wearing stuff from high school. I graduated in 2007, so we're talking about a 14 or 15-year-old wardrobe with barely anything new added in. After a few years of spending and building this new life, I was finally ready to invest and save. But of course, that year was 2020. And with it came the first of many setbacks I'd faced in my career. When the pandemic hit, it dealt a devastating blow to my career. My work was rooted in travel. I was getting invited to promote destinations, speak to thousands of people, and collaborate with airlines and hotels. Then suddenly, my income tanked. At the time, I was living in a little 450 square foot standalone home in Topanga, paying $19.50 a month, which was honestly a steal. That price stayed the same for the 2 years I lived there. In the isolation that COVID created, like many people, I had to confront the realities of my life. I loved being alone, but as my income declined, so did my health. I became a recluse. And even though solitude was something I'd always cherished, I began to feel the weight of watching everything I worked so hard to build start slipping away. I remember building a little porch outside my Topanga studio with the tiny bit of cash I had, just to feel a sense of home. I'd set up my rower there, one I'd been gifted, and I was rowing at sunset one day, really proud of what I'd created. That's when the call came. My manager of 2 years wanted to let me go. I wasn't closing deals anymore. Someone had been tampering with my online presence since 2019, destroying my credibility. I now know who it was, but in that moment, none of it mattered. The last thread tying me to a career I'd spent 10 years building snapped. The next 5 years were an uphill battle, a constant effort to hold on to what I had built, alongside a string of uncomfortable mishaps that led me to where I am now. I'm sitting in an ocean view room, sipping on a glass of Provence in the south of France, living at a quarter of the cost I was just 4 months ago. Coming up, I'll tell you how I slashed my rent in half while living in a cottage in France. Finding the right people to connect with to grow your business doesn't have to be a burden. We make it easy through DELCÂ. DELCÂ is a premier lifestyle brand catering to empowered individuals. With a focus on elevating every aspect of our members' lives, we offer elite memberships, advice through our newsletter and blog, transformative retreats, travel itineraries, and exclusive member privileges. Whether you're seeking personalized guidance, connection with other like-minded individuals, or unforgettable experiences, DELCÂ is here to help you unlock your full potential and live your best life. Visit DELCALife.com. That's DELCALIFE.com to elevate and expand your connections for both business and friendship. Mention that you heard about us on this podcast and receive a 5% discount on newly launching boutique items and priority application review for our DELCA membership. The DELCA experience, it's a lifestyle. After living in that little Topanga bungalow, the owner sold it, and I was forced to move. Around that time, I met a guy who I'd end up dating for the next year and a half and living with for 8 months. 2 years later, in 2022, I was served a frivolous lawsuit that would send me on a devastating 3-year journey filled with even more financial loss and emotional turmoil than what that relationship and COVID had already brought me combined. Flash forward to December 2024. My life was in shambles. On the outside, I appeared to be successful, happy, healthy, and inspiring, as I had since 2017. But inside, I was melting into oblivion. I was dealing with the wrath of strangers constantly putting me down in the media and online, belittling me, tearing me apart, saying cruel, cruel things. As much as I reminded myself that they were just unhappy sleuths, it still hurts. Even now, it's hard to understand how people can be so cruel to someone they've never even met and who's done nothing to them. I was surrounded by industry professionals who were using me and my resources for their own benefit. I'd step outside my door only to deal with Karens tailing me on the highway or scolding me for putting my trash in bins labeled for trash. The little things kept adding up. And with that came the emotional comforts I clung to. Shopping, dinners, business purchases, all of which were draining my resources. I was 35 and realized that if I didn't change something immediately, I'd slip away. Back to my roots, I thought. I can get out of this. I can prevail. I can reinvent myself, rebrand, and succeed. More importantly, I can find inspiration again and flourish like I once did. All I have to do is spend less, make more, and find locations that will give me the drive to make it happen. A woman who had been destroyed in 1,000 ways knows 1,000 ways to rebuild herself. Here's the deal in simple terms. I needed to save money, but to save money, I needed to make more money. And with that newly earned cash, I needed to not spend it. I needed to invest it and, of course, save it. I need new sparks of joy to feel that rush of drive again, both to pursue new ventures and build on the ones I've already created. I need to get out of my bubble and into new places and spaces. Though, I'll be honest, that sounds emotionally and physically draining. Do I even have the energy for this? None of it sounds appealing without my comforts, my cats, my routines, the things that let me relax. Do I really have to keep going and travel fast like I did before to redefine my success? I can do it differently, in a slower way, in a more meaningful and profound way. Here we go. For anyone juggling rent, debt, and dreams, this next part is for you. Step 1, financial literacy. I'm not embarrassed to say that I've never been great with my finances when it comes to budgeting. I've always struggled with math for as long as I can remember. It's just one of those things that I've never been able to wrap my brain around, and the arithmetic of it all pains me. I'm 35 now, and if I don't start taking things seriously, I'll never achieve this new vision for my life. Listen, whether you've always been good with budgeting or you're just starting out, the most important thing is that you're doing it. You're starting. You're committing yourself to financial literacy and financial health. The first thing I did when I decided I needed to make a change was download an app that would allow me to easily track my expenses and debts. There are tons of apps out there that do this. Find the one that is most visually appealing and addresses your needs. Mint, QuickBooks, Monarch, NerdWallet, there are tons. Connect your bank accounts and become visually aware of what you're spending, saving, and your debts. The next thing I did was way more time consuming, but essential for me personally to be able to learn, track, and inevitably spend less. I purchased a Google Sheets template off Etsy that was visually appealing to me and spent a solid month getting to know it. I entered in all my debts in the debt avalanche section in order to understand not only how soon I can pay them off, but which debts should be paid off first in order to avoid the highest interest rates. At the beginning of every month, I update my cash in each account, credit card balance, and spend a few hours updating all variable expenses one by one. That includes dates, accounts used for purchase description, whether it was a need purchase or a want, if it was a business or personal purchase, merchant, and so on. It might seem overkill, but keeping exact tabs on every single purchase I made has helped me in more ways than one. I think besides the obvious of having a paper trail for my accountant, which lessens their costs, I love that it stops me from spending money. The fewer transactions I have, the less time I need to dedicate toward updating it every couple weeks or at the beginning of the month. I don't want to spend hours inputting purchases. It makes me feel horrible seeing things I've spent my hard-earned money on. Just seeing these transactions hurts. But then spending hours inputting them into a spreadsheet? This step in my financial literacy journey has been a massive one to help me recognize my spending patterns and spend less. Before we move on, pause for a second. Think about your own spending this week. What would your spreadsheet say about you? Step 2, budgeting. Now I know how much I spent last year through my budget app. I can finally take charge of my finances for the year ahead. Where do I need to cut back? What sacrifices am I willing to make? I was shocked to learn I'd spent thousands just on financial fees from credit cards, interest, and bank charges. That had to change. Paying off my credit cards became my number one priority. And just to let you know, I wasn't always like this. Actually, for years, I kept a zero balance, but the weight of a 3-year lawsuit just pushed me over the edge. It's something many business owners face, actually. One unexpected hit and everything starts to unravel. Then came the legal bills. There was no avoiding them. I had to adjust everything else just to stay afloat. Rent was next. I knew I had to cut it in half, but I wasn't willing to relocate to a place that drained my spirit. I needed to feel inspired. So the question became, where would I go? Groceries were another area of high spending. Living in LA meant premium prices for basic food. Ordering in, eating out, even a simple grocery run added up fast. I realized I could save a fortune if I simply changed my location. So I pulled up every single category of spending from 2023 and 2024. Subscriptions I didn't need, domains I forgot about, business tools that were no longer useful, random Amazon purchases, gas, insurance, and memberships. I was spending $700 a month just on Pilates and Equinox. It was absurd. Cell phone bills, healthcare, beauty appointments, it all had to go. And that's when I made a decision, a bold one that would change everything. Dying to get your business up and running but don't know where to begin? Are you sick of the extensive fees it'll take for web development, PR, marketing campaigns, and hiring people to get you there? Maybe you need Elevated. Elevated is a full-service brand agency that will get your business up and running fast and at a low cost, without sacrificing the quality and efficiency of your business. Visit elevated.com. That's ELEVATXE txd.com and get a free website and business roadmap when you sign up for one of our monthly plans. Don't worry, we've got you covered with up to 50 brand development services, including branding, design, marketing, social media management, content creation, web development, strategy consulting, financial and sponsorship decks, and so much more. Get your business launched fast, at low cost, and without sacrificing the quality and luxury you deserve. Visit elevated.com. Again, that's elevatxd.com and claim your free website and business roadmap. Again, that's elevatxd.com. Elevate your business with Elevated. We left off discussing step 1, financial literacy, and step 2, budgeting. So here's step 3, source inspiration. Right, I get it. I need to spend less, save more, and grow my wealth. Now that I know how much I need to cut and where, I have to find a place that naturally supports that shift. Somewhere cheaper than LA. Somewhere I can still enjoy quality of life and the elevated lifestyle I'm used to without spending excessively. I realized the US probably wasn't the best place for that next step though. First, healthcare is a massive expense that doesn't have to be. My insurance was set to jump to $600 a month, not including dental or vision, which would be another $200. I wasn't willing to pay that. Tariffs were about to increase, pushing grocery costs even higher, and gas, $6 a gallon? I mean, no thank you. If I wanted to live in beautiful places like Malibu, La Jolla, or the Hamptons, I'd have to pay a premium. But I knew there were equally stunning places outside the US where I could save and still feel inspired. I chose Europe, the UK, and Ireland. I figured I could explore a few countries, find where I felt most alive, and look into staying longer through work, ancestry, or other legal paths. In doing so, I cut my expenses in half. Good travel insurance costs around $150 a month, sometimes less. Groceries are about half the price. I've gone from spending $1,300 a month on food to around $400. Rent, even booking long-term Airbnb stays for a few months at a time, I'm still able to stick to a plan and cut costs. I haven't sacrificed luxury. In fact, I've gotten more for my money. Where I used to pay $4,000 a month for a 350 square foot studio on the ocean in Malibu, I now pay $2,000, for example, for a 1,500 square foot cottage in the French countryside. And here's a little tip if you want to stop yourself from overspending, even while staying somewhere beautiful. Choose a place without easy access to public transportation. Where I stayed in France, I didn't have a car, and the closest town was a 2-hour bike ride away. So I'd hop on the mountain bike they provided and do a 4-hour round trip twice a month for groceries. And trust me, when you're carrying it all back on a bike, you're not going to overpurchase. In the end, I put myself in places that helped me want to create, commit to new work, and stay consistent with my true priority, finishing my novel. Lastly, step 4, keeping my comforts. At the time of writing this episode, I'm a 35-year-old woman, and I no longer enjoy traveling without the things that bring me comfort. Gone are the days of crashing on couches and stuffing everything into a backpack. If I was going to leave behind the life I built and relocate to a different continent, I needed to feel held in the process. That meant bringing pieces of my old life with me, not just to survive, but to feel like myself while I rebuilt. Where there's a will, there's always a way, even if it means hauling 2 cats and 4 heavy suitcases across the Atlantic. I made space for the things that made me feel grounded, my bathrobe, my favorite eye mask, the candle that makes any place smell like home, and my softest PJs. Tiny, familiar things. But when you're navigating change, those comforts matter. They remind you that while everything around you may shift, you still have pieces of yourself to come back to. With a little precision, planning, and an open mind, it is absolutely possible to save money in this economy by traveling. Meticulous budgeting helped me spot the patterns and habits that were holding me back from reaching my financial potential. America is expensive, and right now, we're all feeling it. I'm not alone. Hundreds of thousands of Americans are weighing their options, and many are looking abroad to ease the financial pressure of simply existing in the US. I saved roughly $20,000 in just 6 months of traveling abroad, and I didn't have to sacrifice my modern comforts to do it. The secret? Well, there's a few I've learned over the years. And before we begin, none of this is sponsored. Number 1, know your budget like the back of your hand. You can't start saving or investing without having a firm understanding of your income and expenses. Number 2, Sign up for a couple travel rewards-based credit cards. The Chase Sapphire Reserve is one of the best travel cards out there, in my opinion, with 10 times the points on hotels and car rentals, 5 times the points on flights through Chase Travel, and 3 times the points on everyday travel and dining. So using it for gas, groceries, Airbnb, and daily spending adds up fast and gets you free travel quicker than you'd think. The Chase Sapphire Preferred was actually the card that carried me through my trip around the world. That's also a really good one too. If you're a business owner, I love the Amex Business Platinum card for travel as well, which offers 5 times the points on flights and prepaid hotels through amextravel.com, plus 1.5 times the points on large business purchases. With access to over 1,400 airport lounges worldwide, including Centurion, which is incredible by the way, and Priority Pass lounges, it's one of the best cards for making travel more rewarding and comfortable. And lastly, I like to have an airline-specific credit card to rack up points and get the perks of flying. The Delta SkyMiles Platinum Amex is perfect if you fly Delta often and want real value. You earn 3 times the miles on Delta flights and you get a free companion ticket every year. You also get to enjoy perks like priority boarding and a first checked bag for free. You can use it every day for spending on things like groceries, gas, and the miles add up pretty quick. But there's also plenty of other airline credit cards out there that are really great as well. Just do your research on the airlines that you fly with the most, and they most likely have a card that you can use to save and rack up points. Speaking of airlines, number 3 is to sign up for their miles program. I tend to primarily fly JetBlue or Delta in the US, and by being a rewards member, I get perks like free upgrades to business class, free checked bags, free lounge use, etc. And for flying back and forth to Europe, I tend to prefer United. But the combination of the airline rewards and a travel credit card pairs together so well to not only save money, but earn as well. One of the comments I get most about my travels around the world is from people who say, "You must have racked up millions of airline points through traveling around the world." But the truth is, I didn't. And that's because there's so many airlines out there I had to use to travel the world. It's not like I could fly United the whole time or Delta the whole time. I had to fly some really tiny, unknown-ish kind of airlines in some of those really small countries. Ethiopian Airlines, I did take advantage of their points, but I could only kind of fly them really within Africa, maybe a few countries outside. And anyways, wasn't really the case for my travels around the world. But if you tend to travel a lot within your own country, definitely sign up for that airlines point system. And then in Europe, if you want to sign up for Air France or KLM, there's Lufthansa, British Airways. There's a lot of airlines over here that you could kind of stick with that fly to many of the countries in Europe where you could end up racking up those points as well. Number 4, save money by researching and planning your flights, hotels, Airbnbs, and car rental in advance. Flights are typically cheapest on Tuesday mornings. Set up flight alerts to get pinged when they're at their lowest. Do your research to find the most affordable Airbnb in the area you're seeking. By booking in advance, you'll likely have more options and a lower price. Takes me a long time to find the right Airbnb. I mean, I spend hours scouring Airbnb for the right one at the right price, but I tend to find that doing it in advance, at least a few months before my travel, is the best way to go about it. Book your car rental through your Chase Reserve to earn 10 times the points on booking. That's really helped me as well. Because in Europe, it's really fun to rent a car and drive around, and using my Chase Reserve is great for that. 5. Some of the most affordable global health insurance providers for travelers include ones like Seven Corners, IMG, GeoBlue, Alliance, and World Trips, each offering flexible plans for everything from short-term trips to long stays, and you get coverage options for emergencies, COVID, and even pre-existing conditions. So a $50 a month travel insurance plan can replace a $500 a month US policy. One of the reasons why I decided to travel longer term was because I realized my travel insurance was going up to $600 a month, which seemed insane to me. So why would I do that when I could just travel abroad and save a lot of money in that retrospect? 6. Buy groceries and cook from your Airbnb instead of eating out. While it's obviously great to eat out, cooking in allows you to spend less. This is actually how I was able to spend less throughout all my travels. If I stay in a country for at least 3 days, I buy groceries and cook. And I love this option because it allows you to get out to local stores and see what the locals like. I just kind of watch what they're picking up in the store and kind of copy them. For example, in France, I saw people grabbing this specific kind of tinned fish. I'd never seen this in the States, so I grabbed a bunch of different flavors, and it's now a staple in my diet, not to mention super healthy. 7. Interested in moving abroad? Look into your lineage. If you're serious about a specific country, there are quite a few perks to being a citizen if you choose to move there. Free or low-cost education and free or low-cost healthcare are just a couple perks of many EU countries, for example. If you have an Irish grandparent, obtaining citizenship isn't that difficult, and Ireland is considered one of the happiest and most peaceful countries in the world. Travel where your currency is stronger. For the US dollar at the time of this episode, that'd be places like Mexico, Turkey, Argentina, South Africa, etc. Sometimes the smartest financial move is putting your belongings in storage, stepping away from an expensive city or country, and committing to long-term travel. It not only saves money, but expands your perspective, immerses you in new cultures and ways of life, and reignites your inspiration. I'm still traveling, still exploring beautiful places, and most importantly, I found inspiration again. I found a way to stay overseas on a visa. If I can do it, you can too. I say that not as a cliche, but from real experience. At the end of 2024, I was drowning in debt, bills piling up, unable to even afford health insurance. I don't have a husband or kids to consider, but I know many people who do and still made this leap for their future and their peace of mind. If you're a parent or family, you don't have to feel stuck. There are ways to travel if you're in this position as well. Homeschooling is popular among families who travel the world together. My brother and I were actually homeschooled growing up, though we weren't traveling, but where there's a will, there's a way. There are quite a few families out there who travel the world with their kids. Of course, this is a whole other realm and involves different planning. It's a different situation, and I'm not an expert in that field, but I'm happy to do my research and come up with another episode where I can go into this in greater detail using research. It takes research. It takes planning, a lot of it. But more than anything, it takes the belief that your life doesn't have to stay stuck where it's been. You don't have to wait. You can start now. And in fact, you should, because we don't even know how much time we have left. You can design a life that costs less, gives more, and wakes you back up. If you're listening to this and thinking, maybe I could do this, don't ignore that. What would it take for you to stop waiting and just start? In today's episode, we explored how financial hardship, emotional burnout, and modern comforts can quietly drain us, and how reinventing your life abroad might just be the antidote. From living paycheck to paycheck to traveling the world on a babysitter's salary, I've learned that saving money doesn't have to mean sacrificing luxury. By embracing financial literacy, budgeting with intention, sourcing daily inspiration from new places, and holding on to the comforts that keep me grounded, I've cut my expenses in half, reignited my drive, and found a more sustainable, inspiring way to live. If I can do it, you can too. Thank you so much for listening. If you have a topic you'd like me to speak on, a person who you think I should interview on the show, or if you have a story you'd like to share, feel free to email us at hello@delcalife.com. That's hello@DELCALIFE.com. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Delca Life. All of the information shared in the Delca podcast is based on opinion and/or facts. Until next time.